Hi students, Malachy here. So this is part one in a series I'm going to do to help you on your way with the Revit model for your concrete building. And if you were in class there on Monday, you would have seen that this is how far I got. Um, I've got my basement walls in, my basement floor, columns, pads, and some internal walls in here. I've also got two openings at the end either side for the car parking in and car parking out. So I'm going to rebuild this for you and show you how I went about doing that. And again, emphasizing the fact that if you get your basement right, everything else obviously coming up off of that is going to be correct. And there's a section that I had done there as well. All right. So I will go back into the 3D here, and I'm going to select all items there and filter. So I'm going to take that off, and the grids. So slab edges, columns, foundations, walls, doors, and floors. So that's what's active there at the moment. And I'm going to hit the delete button, and I'm back to where I was. Okay. Now you'll notice that this is the AutoCAD plan. And if I go into the 3D here and just zoom in there a little bit, the AutoCAD plan that I've put in there, you can see where the grids are. They're slightly lower down here. That AutoCAD plan is what I would term to be an overlay, and it exists over here in the view properties. You can see it there. So if I shift that up and I go none and apply, then it disappears. Now, even though we're working below this, I still think it's very useful to have that ground finished floor level there, because it locates where the walls, the above ground walls are going to appear. So in order to get the above ground walls correct, we need to get the below ground walls set there. Right, so I'm in my basement level here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the slab. And this is over in the architecture tab and into floor. Now I'm going to pick an architectural floor in this case here, and I've made one here. It's called the lower basement lower floor, and in the properties here it is here. Scale, color. I kind of prefer to have that gray. It's not hugely important at this stage, but look, the default thickness is 300. Let's go in here. So I've got a concrete cast in situ. So I'm going to use that material for all my concrete. I'm not going to put in different types of concrete place material and things like that. I'm going to use concrete cast in situ at 300. All right. And it's a structural material there. Okay. So I'm going to go over to my rectangle tab here, and I'm going to pick, can you see the intersection? That's where the column is going to be. So I want my floor just to come out a little bit beyond where those columns are going to rise up. So that is that point there, and I'll finish that. Now, so there's my slab in. This is what I did in the first one as well, is I noticed that guys have added this little area in here in the basement as well. So I'm going to pick that. I'm going to edit the boundary. Now I'm going to draw in a couple of lines here, like so. Okay. And then to make this work, I need to split it. So here's my little split element. I'm going to split that. And then I'll use my trim command here to here and here to here. Now finish that. That has got that basement floor in there. All right. So part two, what I'm going to do here now is if I go into my section, you'll see that this is just a plain old slab here. So I want to put in the slab thickening. So the slab thickening can be found here in the structure tab under structural floors and the slab edge, right? Now, the default slab edge that you're going to get is not this one here. It's going to be this one, right? It's the slab edge thickening. That's already in your project at this moment in time. But I know that this comes in a little bit short, but I'm going to show you. So And this is easier done in the 3D view as well, because what you want to do is pick that bottom line. All right. Now I might as well just go around and I'll put it in everywhere because I will be updating this at a part here. Okay, so we got to do it again. Floor, slab edge, bottom, bottom. And we do a little bit of a turn here, there. And again, sometimes when you do that movement, it loses the command. So you got to go back into it and then over into the corner here. And let's see if we can get the last two in. Right, now go into my section here and you can see that's the slab edge there, TL in the keyboard. Now the problem with that is that you know that the grid line is coming down here and that our columns and consequently our basement walls are going to be centered on that grid here. And you've got the point load coming down. So that's not a great place for the point load to be coming down. You want the thickening to be fully in a position to support that point load. So that thickening is not the right size in this case here. Now, so two choices. I can move the floor in, which will consequently move the thickening in a little bit, but I want that little edge there for the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to File, Open the Family, and what I'm looking for here, okay, is my UK library. And, bear with me while I find my UK library. Here it is, and I'm looking for profiles. All right, profiles, slab profiles, and so I've got various different ones here. That's the default one that you will find there as well. So open that and load it into your project. Okay, if you open that and then load into the project and close it, that'll get it into the project here. So what I can do then is that I can select that profile and I'm going to right click. I'm going to say select all instances visible in the view. I'm going over to my type properties and I'm going to swap out this one for this one here. So when I load it in that family, you see it says profile slab edge thickness and it comes in three different variations. I'm going to pick the thickest one there, concrete cast in situ, go okay. Now I'm in business. So you can see that the point load now is coming down and there's plenty of room there for reinforcing in order to take the weight down. Now that has gone right through my project there. So that's that one. Now we're going to do our slab walls. So we're into basement plan here. Now, a few of you have had problems with this, and let me just explain to you. When I go into architecture, I go into wall, and I hit the drop down box here. Any wall with FND, see that one there? They are foundation walls, so they're below ground walls, and they operate on the basis of they're constructed from the top down. Above ground walls, like this one here and this one here, operate on the basis of from the bottom up. So some of you have had problems with putting those walls in because of that. So I'm going to pick this wall foundations, 300 concrete. I'm just going to duplicate it. So I'm going to call this, it's conc, but it's actually the base wall. So I'm going to call it the base wall. Okay. And let's just double check. So it's concrete cast in situ again, and it's 300 wide. So that's for the external wall. And that's the one we're going to use. Now, so how do we put this in? So let's go up to the type properties here. So I'm going to use the wall center line because I'm putting it in on the center line via the grid here. So what I'm going to do is ignore that base offset. We want to go up to maybe the ground finish floor level, and we want that to be 0. Okay. Now it's saying that the top constraint is invalid for this. So this is the way I do my below ground walls, is that I will go from the ground finish floor level to the ground finish floor level, and I'll put in a figure here of minus 3250. Okay, ground finish floor to ground finish floor, minus 3250. So I'm operating from the top down, if you can imagine that. Now, so let's pop in here. And then it's just literally a question of following the grid lines here. And again, we'll do that one. That little extension there probably isn't as precise as I would like it, but this one up and then to that point there and all the way across here, and we'll close that off. Okay, escape. Let's go into the section, have a look at that. And if I pick this wall here and have a look at the properties, look, so I've gone from ground finish floor to ground finish floor, but I put in a base offset of minus 3250, and that has brought me into the top here. So I've constructed that from the way down. Now I'm going to do the internal walls now. So I'm up here, and again I'm going to go to wall, architectural, and I'm going to edit this type and duplicate this one because this is going to be a 200. And this is going to be the base wall. And I really should be putting in my type marks, I think, on these as well. So base wall AT underscore WT underscore O2. I'm going to call this O2. All right. Now I'm putting that type mark in there for a specific reason, and I'm going to go back in and change the other one at some point here. But again, I just need to take that down to 200. Okay, so 200 cast in situ, and okay, and we're ready to go again here. And we're going to do this again. We're going to work from the ground finish floor to the ground finish floor, and then a minus 320 here. So now this is where the kind of AutoCAD plan comes in handy here. Um, Revit will recognize that there's some vector information here that it can use. So again, I'm going into kind of center line here, and I'm just kind of following that path of walls that way. Okay, and we'll come across here, I think as far as there. So there's a little bit of a service cavity by the look there. Now, notice that when I restarted that, see the way that wall is white and these ones aren't. So if I pick that wall, look, it's reverted back to basement slab again. So I need to bring this up to, yeah, as we did before. Now that's the only little bit of a pain here with that. I wonder, can I go over to modify and see that little match type property? So match this one to this one. No, it won't let me do that. So I'm going to have to do this individually here. Bring that back up to ground finish floor level. Finish floor level. Right now, so I'm going to put in the rest of my walls, so I'll do that later on, but that's the process there. If you want to see that in 3D, okay, here we are down here, and there's those internal walls gone in there. Now the columns I'm going to do next. So back into my basement here. Now the columns are a bit of a pain in the butt, the way they are set up in Revit at the moment. So the first thing that we need is go into the structure tab, and we're going to go for columns here. And so I've got a 300 round loaded in, and to be honest with you, I'm going to use a square column. I'm going to use that 450 by 450 square column. Now notice the type properties here. Okay, it's not giving me an opportunity to load this in exactly where I want it to go. All right, there's no parameters there that say I can put this in at ground floor level or whatever else. So what I've got to do basically is just go in and put one in, and hit escape. Now if I go into my 3D underneath the building, I notice a lot of you had this done. So at this stage, you need to pick this now. Now look, see, I've got, so the base level, I've got access to where I can position this. So the base level is there, and this needs to go up into ground finish floor level. And obviously that needs to be 0. So apply, and I'll come back up here. Now I've got one column like so. So I'm going to pick that. I'm going to say create similar. Back into the plan here, and now I can go over, and again, one of the advantages of, oh look, it's gone and put it down below again. Very annoying. Okay, so I'll show you how we get around that. So this is just something with columns. I think actually up here, see up here, you can actually change those parameters. I've never fully copped that one, to be honest with you. So again, I'll go into the 3D and I'll just select each of those columns there. Okay, and they're going up to the ground finish floor with the 0 there. Now I've got all my columns in place. All right, so that's that part done. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to put in local slab thickening under each of these columns. And the way I'm going to do that is by, again, in the structures tab into the isolated here. And there's a pad foundation. Now, if you can't, if it says, do you want to load up a pad foundation here, we'll do that. Go into load family and I'll show you where these exist. And again, in my UK library here, if you come all the way down to structural foundations, and here is the rectangular pad, and hit open and you get a choice of different sizes here. So you can pull that across. Now, so I'm going to put in, I'm going to make these quite large. I'm going to put in that one, right? The 2x2 by 1500. Okay, and I'll overwrite the existing. Okay, now, so it comes in, right? That's not the one I wanted. It was this one. Comes in attached to my cursor. And what I'll do, it'll go and find a column. So you can go and find a column which is on the intersection of our grids, like so. And wherever there's a column, you go in and you pop that in place. And you're going to ask me what level does this come in at. So we hit escape, escape. We'll go back into our 3D. We'll open that, and there's my columns there. There's my pads, which are attached to the columns. Let's go into the section, and that's kind of how they look like there. All right. Now, they're quite large, but remember, they're taking a point load coming the whole way down here. So that's the way they should be. Now, we're back in here, back into the 3D. And you remember that we've got two openings, right? So we've got an opening here and we've got an opening there. And I noticed that a lot of you went in and changed the profile of the wall. But there's a simpler way to do this, and this is it. So into architecture and into door. And if you load family, if you've got your UK library set up, and if you don't, give me a shout and I'll show you how to do that. We're back into doors. Okay, here it is, structural. And there's a door opening here. All right. So you will select that one. Okay, and we'll overwrite the existing. Okay, and I'll go into the slab here. Now I'm just going to position that, right? Just going to position that there. And you can see that obviously it's 3D, and we take a look at that. There's the door there. It's obviously too small. So we'll go back in here, we'll select it, and we'll edit and duplicate again. Okay, and we can create this as a whatever it might be, 3500 by 2600, something like that. Okay, whatever you have worked that out to be. So the rough width is going to be 3500 and the height is going to be 2600. So apply and okay, and there's that door gone in. Have a look at that one. So that's that one there. And then once you've made it for one, you can now go in door and hit the drop down box here and find that 35 by 26. Come over to this side here and you can position that over there. Now go into 3D and we've got our two door openings there. Okay, so the last thing on this particular video is, and very important, and I noticed none of you were doing this, we need to input data for each of the items that we've created, okay? So I'll start off with the wall here, and I'm going over to the edit type, and I'm going into the identity data down here. Okay, so you need to fill out this description, right? So it's a 300 millimeter cast in situ concrete basement wall. You need to fill out the information on that. You need to type that in. I've chosen an assembly code in here for this one. and I've also given it a type mark, right? So those pieces of that piece of information, that piece of information are essential. And again, let me show you how I got the assembly code. So if you click into assembly code here, it gives you access to the three buttons, which brings you in here. And this one is in SS. We use systems all the time. Ignore products and elements and functions for the moment, just in SS systems. So it's a 25, 11, 16, 70, and that's an ID specifically for quantity surveyors and people like that. The reinforced concrete wall structure. Okay, so we're giving our element an ID here, but also now I've given it a type mark. So it's a will always start with AT capital underscore WT, which is wall type, external 02. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go apply and okay. Now I'll go into my internal wall here and let's see what we've got here. Okay, so that should be INT. So that's internal, and it's a wall type internal 02. And again, it's that is not right. That should be a 200. Okay, and that one there as well. So it's important that you put these pieces of information in as well. Did I pick the right wall there? Maybe I didn't. Let's just go back in here. Okay, that's definitely the internal. Yes. Now, you see, what I did was I did a duplicate. So internal O2, that's correct. So all of that information is now correct there. All right, now let's do a column. We're going to the edit type. And so there is an assembly of code associated with this. And in the description, structural column in situ concrete, that seems to be filled out there. And there's a type mark. So we're going to give this one an AT underscore SC column. Okay, and this will be 01. So this is number of the first type of the column that we've been using here. So there's a lot of information filled out that came with the column, which is pretty handy as well. So apply and okay. What we want to do now is get the floor here. And again, we're over here now. And so I've got an assembly code associated with that. I've got a floor generic. That's not good enough. This is going to be a 300 millimeter cast. Cast in situ, INSITU, cast in situ basement floor. Okay, so that's a better note than what was there. And we're going to put in a type mark for this one. It's going to be AT underscore FT for floor type. And we put in an 01 there. Okay, that's a floor type. So again, all your elements that you create, you need to be putting in this type of information as you go along as well. Okay, and then perhaps the last thing we need to do here is get this one, the pad. Look, that pad is going to be part of the floor, so we don't need to put info in with that one there. Now, so that's how I've got my basement started. You're going here. What you do is you need to make sure that now you've got all your walls in and they're all correct. Watch out for part 2, and I'll continue on with this.